Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I actually asked you guys what video you guys wanted to see next. If you guys saw that poll, for those of you guys that voted, thank you so much for voting. I appreciate it. But I posted a poll asking you guys what you wanted to see for my next video, and I think it was like something crazy, like 73% of the people that voted said that they wanted to see another mental health bullet journal video. So that is what I am bringing to you today. It's so crazy because one of my most popular videos right now is, I think it's like my top 5 bullet journal layouts for mental health. And for like the longest time, that video only had, I think, like 100 some views. And all of a sudden I went and looked at it the other day and it has almost 10,000 now, which is insane. So obviously you guys like different videos talking about bullet journal layouts specifically for mental health. And I actually went back and searched, and there's not a ton. If you search like bullet journal layouts for mental health on YouTube right now, there's not a ton there. So I thought I would bring you guys 5 more layouts that I am currently using that have really helped me. One of them is actually a little bit of a tweak from one that I shared in that last video. If you guys want to check out that video, it's actually in my Plan With Me playlist too, but I'll link that in the description box. For today, I actually have 6 layouts for mental health, so I'm giving you guys a bonus one this time. But these are ones that I'm actually currently using and I just really love them. I kind of have notes on my phone because I have specific things that I want to tell you guys about them, so don't mind me if you see me look at my phone randomly. With that being said, I'm going to start with number 6 and go up to my number 1, my current number 1 bullet journal layout for mental health. Bailey, your collar's making lots of noise, buddy. Let's take your collar off so you're not jingle jangling. Okay. Oh, Bailey, you made the camera shake. Oh my God. Before I jump into that, I just wanted to say to everybody that did vote on this post, I really appreciate it. I love your guys' input. I would love to hear like if there's other videos that you guys would like to see specifically on bullet journaling or mental health or anything really. I'm open to your suggestions. I want to make videos that you guys want to watch, especially since we hit 1,000 subscribers. I don't even know if I talked about that yet in the video, but guys, thank you. Like, I am so excited that there's 1,000 of us just hanging out here on this little corner of the world of YouTube, and I love it. Thank you if you have watched any of my videos, if you've liked any of my videos, if you've commented on any of my videos. I appreciate it. With that being said, let's jump into the layout. So the first layout I'm going to talk about is my therapy notes. Now, I talked about this in my last bullet journal for mental health video. I want to mention this too because I still feel like there's a stigma. Like, I've even noticed myself, like I feel weird sometimes every once in a while telling people that I go to therapy. Not so much anymore because I talk about it pretty openly, but there's just still a stigma around like going to therapy and saying that you go to therapy, and I don't know. So I just want to say, if you struggle with mental health, if you struggle with anxiety and depression like me, of any other kind of mental illness, like there's nothing wrong with you. You're also not broken. You don't need to be fixed. There are things that you can do to help. So I like to kind of say that because that's my perspective on it. I don't think mental illness is something that you need to think that you're broken or you need to allow it to keep you from living a great life. So with that being said, I do go to therapy. I've been going a little bit more frequently recently, but usually I go about like every other week or so. And one thing that I started doing about a year ago when I uploaded this last video was taking therapy notes. Now, in the last video I talked about, I would do my therapy notes like immediately in the car when I got out of therapy. What I do now is I actually take my bullet journal into my therapy session with me. I've talked about my bullet journal and journaling in general in therapy a lot. And it's kind of how I've grown into such a consistent journaler. I will actually, just open up my bullet journal. I'm a lot less of a perfectionist in my bullet journal now, so it doesn't need to be like super pretty perfect of a layout, if that makes sense. I usually will just start jotting down notes. It's not really a fancy layout per se, but there are a couple things that I do specifically in the layout, or in the notes at least, that I focus on when it comes to my therapy note. I write down like notes of what was talked about. I take notes of like anything to work on for next time. I'll actually ask my therapist, like, what did you notice? Did you, because they're taking notes too, right? So they have kind of that outsider perspective, and it's really helpful to kind of hear what they took from what you were saying. Because a lot of times when we're just talking and talking and talking, it's harder for us to organize our own thoughts and kind of see the bigger themes in our own mind than it is for someone like a therapist who's coming in from an outside perspective. Therapists take notes. It's part of, the session, so it's okay for you to ask like, what did you notice or what did you take notes on or something like that. Don't feel weird about that because they're literally taking it so they make note of things that you're mentioning a lot. That's good for me to have because I can really see now going through my bullet journal like, wow, okay, at this point I was thinking this, now at this point I'm at this point. I think I just said the same thing back to back, but it helps you get a little bit clearer on your perspective. Going through a tough time in your life, or going through something emotionally and you're trying to process it, really difficult to see and understand that from like like an outside perspective. So this has been so helpful for me. So that's the first layout, is therapy notes. That has been so helpful for me. The next layout I want to talk to you guys about, and I know I mentioned this as like kind of a self-care thing, but doing things like song lyrics, quotes, poetry, anything like that that will really make you feel uplifted when you read it. I'm also big on this, side note, with my music. So if I am going through something emotionally and I'm really processing through something, or even if not, I mean, it's not necessarily like you have to be going through some big thing to do these things, but I will make sure the playlist and the music that I'm listening to is positive and not, you know, negative, sad, you know, anything like that. I'm really mindful of the music that I listen to, same with, you know, TV, books, all of that too. But I also like to put that into my bullet journal. So something that I've started doing, I used to do this when I was a kid, but I would write down like full song lyrics in my journals. I've started doing that again and it's been really fun. I've even started writing poetry in my journals again, which I have not done, gosh, probably since middle school. It's crazy. Maybe do this at a time when you're in kind of more of a positive headspace, because then you'll really like be like, oh man, I love this quote, I love this one. Positivity quotes or inspirational quotes. Be careful with that one. Sometimes inspirational and motivational quotes can be a little passive aggressively making you feel bad about not doing more. But go through and search those things, find things that you love and put them in your bullet journal. This next one is going to be no surprise if you've watched any of my other videos, but this is something I've actually brand new started. I've actually recently started it this year for 2020 in my bullet journal, and that is long form journaling. In previous videos, I've actually talked about how I do long form journaling like in an actual separate journal, and that's where I write like my long form pages of journal entries. I felt like my bullet journal just wasn't 100% authentic to me because journaling has become such an important part of my life as far as long form journaling, and I really wanted to integrate it this year. I had to really, like, the first time I wrote a journal entry in my bullet journal for long form journaling, I had to kind of like bite the bullet because I was like, oh, this is gonna take up so many pages. I was kind of in this mindset where like I had to only have one bullet journal for the whole year. The original method does say like, don't worry about how much space you're taking up, don't think about it. And I think Ryder Carroll, the creator of bullet journal, actually has said that he uses a new bullet journal like every 3 or 4 months or something like that. It's hard for me to overcome that. Now that I got that first journal entry out of the way, I have started using it so much more. My bullet journal is literally, everything's there now and it's wonderful. I love it. I've just loved being able to have all of that in one place because, you know, if I'm doing something like my therapy notes in there and I want to journal about it, now I can just journal about it on the next page. And, you know, I know that that goes along with the whole original bullet journal method system, but honestly, I was just for the longest time still doing that long form journaling in a separate notebook because I felt like it was just, I write so much when I do long form journaling. So it took me a little bit to get into that habit, like as far as breaking into my actual bullet journal for my long form journaling. But now that I have, it's so much more real. And I feel like my bullet journal just is like literally one place for me to have everything. I can process things as they come up in my brain. Even like after therapy, you know, I'll do a task bullet and I'll write, you know, for next week, journal about X, and then on the next page I'll go home and I'll journal about it, and now it's all in one place. It's really cool, and I think it's going to be great to be able to look back on. So that's my next layout, is to do your long form journaling in your bullet journal. And it's nice too because you can kind of ease into the habit of journaling if you're not really a long form journal writer right now but you'd like to start. You know, you can just do maybe like 1 page a day, and at least you don't have so much pressure to like fill this notebook with all these long form journal entries because you're already going to be filling it with other things. My next layout is to put your long form journaling in your bullet journal to help you process some of the things that are going on kind of mentally and emotionally. Okay, so now we're on to layout number 3, and this one is brand new, but I have loved it so far. I've only been using it for honestly maybe a week. I'm actually just going to show you guys a blank layout of it in this video just because it's got a lot of like really personal stuff in it. But this next one is my anxiety triggers. So I think I found this idea originally on Pinterest, but it actually came up in therapy in one of my therapy sessions and I loved it. So with this, you really can make it super simple. I'm all about simple layout. I'm not about, you know, the crazy fancy artsy one. I literally just drew a line down the middle of a page and titled it, you know, anxiety triggers or whatever you want. You can do it for any type of mental thing you would like to track. But what I do now is, second I feel myself getting anxious, so you have to really make sure your journal is always by you, but the second I feel myself getting anxious, I will take out my journal and I will write down what just happened, whatever like event or thought or something, whatever happened that made me start to feel anxious, like the second before. I'll write what I was doing, where I was at, what happened, and then the next thing is what I'll put like my thoughts and feelings and kind of what was going through my head that started to make me feel anxious. And what this is doing is it's really helping shed light onto things that I'm doing that are not good for my mental health, and events, circumstances, things like that that are starting to trigger that anxiety. And it's helping me isolate it so I can, you know, figure out ways to either A, come up with a plan to handle that if that comes up again, or remove myself from that trigger or situation. It's so cool. It's the most illuminating thing, and I've really loved it so far. I've only been doing it for about a couple weeks, I would say. I probably started at the beginning of the year. It's so great. I've absolutely loved it so far. So doing some type of log where you can just write like the date, what happened, what you were doing right before it, and then what your thoughts and feelings were that then led to anxiety or depressive feelings, or whatever you want to, you know, whatever you want to track with that. But this was so illuminating to really bring into my therapy then and kind of talk about it and things like that. It's been so helpful. All right, so we are down to the top two. My second favorite layout that I'm currently using in my bullet journal for my mental health is my letting go list. I don't even know how I came up with this idea. I just kind of popped into my head one day, and I don't think I've seen anything like this before, or if I have, I guess I tweaked it a little bit, but this has been amazing for me. So what I did was I literally just titled it. I created a new collection. I put my letting go list at the top, and then what I've done is I wrote a whole page. I filled an entire page of just things and feelings and thoughts and habits and just anything in my life that I felt like was not serving me and not helping my mental health. Like if it was hurting my mental health, or not necessarily hurting it, but maybe not the best thing for it, I wrote it down. And like I said, this can be thoughts, this can be habits that you do, or TV shows you watch, books you read, music you listen to, anything that you feel like you need to let go of, past belief, your like just negative belief systems, things that thoughts that you have about yourself, anything you can possibly think of that you find yourself, and this can be something you add to too, but anytime you find yourself kind of thinking something or feeling a certain way. And I wrote it in a way where I said, and you can either put this at the top, but you know, I am letting go of ... or these things are no longer serving me ... and then list it out. It's so helpful to frame it like this, because you saying you're letting go of something is really powerful. At least for me, this has been really powerful from like a subconscious like mindset level, and I have found it so helpful to like release past things and just let go of just things that are holding me back, and things and habits and thoughts and feelings and beliefs that are just no longer helping me live the life that I want to live and be the person that I want to be. And it has been incredibly helpful. That's something, and like I said, you can do like thoughts that you have about yourself. Anything can go on this list. Anything that you feel like impacts your mental health or is kind of holding you back from living the life you want to live or being the person you want to be, this is incredibly helpful. And then my number one layout currently for my mental health bullet journaling is my 90-day goals challenge. For me, I read in a book recently that a lot of times when we don't go after a goal that we set for ourselves, it's because we don't believe in ourselves and we don't trust ourselves, and we're literally just breaking a promise to ourselves. And when I heard it said that way, that we're breaking a promise that we make to ourselves, it really like broke my heart a little bit, because if we wouldn't break a promise to someone that we love, or if we would try our hardest to not break a promise to someone that we love, why would we do that to ourselves? So I created my 90 days goals challenge. So instead of setting big New Year's resolutions for the entire year, I've just done a 90-day goals chunk. I'm going to break up the year, and it's not a huge habit tracker, but I do have 3 things that I'm tracking for these first 90 days. So 3 things that I want to add in to help my mental health, to help better my life, to help just better myself in general, make me feel better, help me to be better. I've listed those 3 things out, and then every night before I go to bed, I get to color in a square with the date. It's a little bit simpler than like a big aggressive habit tracker where you've got, you know, 10 habits listed and you've got every day of the month listed, and you know, it does feel less overwhelming than those habit trackers do for me. If you are someone that gets overwhelmed with it, take this with a grain of salt. Maybe this will work for you, maybe it won't, but you know, just this is just what's worked for me. And it's been so, like, I can't explain to you how awesome it feels to be able to color in that square at the end of the day, knowing that I did those 3 things. 3 things to help my mental health, 3 things to make me a better person, and it has just been absolutely incredible. I've loved it. So that is my absolute number 1 layout right now for bullet journaling for mental health. Those are my current top 6 favorite bullet journaling for mental health layouts. I hope you guys enjoyed these layouts. I hope you try them in your own bullet journal. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. I am going to be posting a poll weekly just asking you guys what you'd like to see for the next video. So if you do want to vote on that, please be sure to subscribe so it pops up in your feed. With that being said though, I hope you all are having a beautiful 2020 so far. Thank you for watching and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.